Hey, deep divers. Are you ready to unpack something really ambitious? We're talking China and their plans for like a complete education system overhaul. And let me tell you, they are not messing around.
It's pretty wild. So last month we got this article from www.gov.cn. It's called China Unveils Blueprint for Building Strong Education System by 2035. And yeah, basically it's their master plan to become like the unglobal leader in education here by 2035.
It's not just like tweaking a policy here and there. I mean, this is a total system reboot. Like they want a quote unquote high quality education system by 2027.
That's right, 2027, like right around the corner.
Yeah, so crazy. And it's really interesting. This is their first ever national action plan just for education.
Exactly. And it's a huge sign that they're really serious about this. It's like a key part of their whole plan for national rejuvenation,
Right.
using education to reach all their modernization goals.
Okay, so the plan talks about building a strong education system of socialism with Chinese characteristics. I got to be honest, that phrase kind of throws me off a little bit. What does that actually mean, like day to day?
Well, it's about making sure education and their political ideology like work together. It's not just teaching skills, it's shaping citizens who fit in with the country's direction, following the values of the Chinese Communist Party.
So it's like they're saying we need people who can build the future that we want, not just individual success, but everyone working towards a shared goal.
Exactly. And that goal includes a lot: talent, competitiveness, scientific and technological underpinning, livelihood security, social synergy, and international influence. They see education as like the engine for success in all these areas.
Social synergy, that one's interesting. It sounds like they're really trying to connect education and the needs of Chinese society, like specific industries even, right?
Yeah, totally. Imagine a system where education knows what skills future industries need and designs its programs around that. That's the kind of connection they're aiming for.
So the article talks a lot about higher education. They want to create advanced research universities and even encourage foreign schools, especially in science and engineering, to offer programs in China. Are they basically trying to build the next global education hub right there in China?
I think that's definitely where they're headed. It's not just about catching up anymore. It's about being the leader. They want to attract top talent from around the world. They're also laser focused on developing their own homegrown talent.
And it's not just about numbers either, right? The plan talks about promoting professional postgraduate degrees. Like they really want specialized high-level skills.
Yep, they want experts in all the cutting-edge fields, people ready to tackle the challenges of the future. It shows they're not just playing catch-up. They want to be at the forefront of research and development.
And they're not afraid to completely shake things up to get there. The article said just in 2024, they added 1,673 new undergraduate programs and got rid of 1,670 old ones. That's a crazy amount of change in just 1 year.
Yeah, it shows how adaptable they want their education system to be. It's not about being stuck in the past. It's about figuring out what skills are needed for the future and making sure their programs teach those skills.
So it's less about chasing trends and more about strategically making sure education is aligned with where they see the country going, almost like forecasting the future of their workforce.
Exactly. They're looking at new industries, tech breakthroughs, even geopolitical trends to figure out what kind of graduates they'll need to stay ahead. It's about anticipating and meeting the needs of a world that's constantly changing.
And to show what they mean, the article gives some cool examples of new majors: intelligent maritime equipment, intelligent material technology, and interdisciplinary engineering. Those sound like something out of a sci-fi movie.
And they're all connected to strategic industries. Take intelligent maritime equipment, for example. It's directly related to China's goals in shipbuilding and ocean exploration. They're not just building ships, they're building the expertise to run them autonomously. Explore the deepest pulls of the ocean in ways we can't even imagine right now.
It's like they're making an education system specifically designed to launch them into this high-tech future they see.
Exactly. And it's not just about things inside China. They want to open up to the world, too. The plan talks about attracting global talent, expanding youth exchanges, and participating in international scientific programs.
So it's not just about China learning from other countries. It's about them becoming a major player in research and innovation, contributing to global knowledge.
Right. Exactly. The article even talks about the Deep Time Digital Earth and ocean negative carbon emissions projects, both led by Chinese scientists. These are just two examples of how they're stepping onto the world stage, showing off their expertise and collaborating on projects with a global impact.
And those international summer school programs sound amazing. Imagine being a student and getting to learn from leading researchers in China. That kind of experience and exchange of ideas is so valuable.
Yeah, it's a smart strategy for building connections, fostering cultural exchange, and attracting bright minds to their universities.
It seems like they're playing the long game here, building relationships and networks that could pay off for decades to come.
Absolutely. And they're not just thinking about higher ed. The plan also talks about basic education, making sure there's high quality balanced development, and closing the gap between urban and rural areas.
So they're not just creating an elite group of researchers and scientists, they're trying to improve the whole education system. So everyone has access to quality education no matter where they live.
That's right. They know that a strong base in basic education is key for a skilled workforce and a successful society.
And there's a big emphasis on training skilled workers and master craftsmen. It's like they understand that a well-rounded workforce needs both intellectual and practical skills.
You got it. They're not just churning out academics, they're creating a diverse talent pool to meet the needs of their fast-growing economy. They need people who can think, innovate, and also build, create, put those ideas into action.
It's a really impressive plan, incredibly ambitious. But it makes you wonder, is it all really possible? Can they really pull off such a huge change in such a short amount of time?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? There are definitely going to be challenges. Implementing such a big plan across a country as big and diverse as China will take a lot of resources, coordination, and flexibility. But there's no doubt that they're completely committed to making this happen.
And what about the impact on the rest of the world? If China does become this global powerhouse in education and innovation, how will that change the landscape of research technology? Even global power dynamics.
That's a conversation for another time, maybe. But it's definitely something to think about. China's ambitions in education have the potential to reshape the world, and those changes will be felt way beyond their borders.
Wow, it's a lot to take in, isn't it? I mean, the sheer scale of this whole thing is mind-blowing,
Yeah.
but they seem really serious about making it happen.
Oh, yeah. It's one of the most ambitious education reforms, like, ever. And it raises so many questions about the future of education, not just in China, but everywhere. Like, how will this affect competition for talent and resources?
That's a really good point. If China's pulling in all the best minds from around the world, could we see a brain drain from other countries? Especially in those key science and tech fields they're focused on.
It's definitely possible. And it could totally shift the balance of power in those fields. Maybe even speed up China's rise as a global leader in innovation.
And it makes you think, how will other countries react? Will they try to improve their own education systems to compete? Or will we see more collaboration and partnerships?
It's hard to say for sure, but one thing's for sure. China's move is a wake-up call for everyone. It's a reminder that education is the key to success in the future, and the countries that invest in it wisely are going to be the ones that thrive in the coming decades.
It's almost like a global race for talent and innovation is heating up, and China's setting a really fast pace.
It's definitely an exciting time to be watching all this unfold. It'll be fascinating to see how it all plays out.
You know, one thing that really stood out to me in the article was that emphasis on developing socialism with Chinese characteristics through education.
Yeah.
Can you talk more about what that actually looks like in practice?
Sure. Basically, it means making the education system match the values and ideology of the Chinese Communist Party. Things like promoting patriotism, national unity, and a sense of collective responsibility.
So it's not just about learning facts and skills, it's
Mhm.
about shaping a certain worldview and set of values.
Right. Exactly. They believe that having a strong national identity and shared purpose is super important for reaching their goals. And they see education as a powerful way to instill these values in young people.
But then how do they balance that with the need for critical thinking and creativity? Those are essential for innovation too.
Right. That's the big question. The article mentions encouraging independent thinking and being okay with failure. But we'll have to wait and see how that actually works in practice.
It's like they're trying to walk this fine line between control and creativity. It'll be interesting to see how they handle that tension.
Yeah, it's a tough challenge. A lot of countries struggle with it. How do you encourage innovation while also keeping things stable and cohesive?
No easy answers there, but it's definitely something we'll be keeping an eye on as China's education experiment plays out.
Oh, yeah.
Let's switch gears for a second, talk about something a little more concrete. Those new majors the article mentioned, I'm really curious about intelligent material technology. What even is that?
That's a perfect example of how China is preparing for the future. Intelligent material technology is all about making materials that can sense and respond to their environment.
So like self-healing materials
Yeah.
or fabrics that change color or texture depending on the temperature or light.
Exactly. The applications are endless, from aerospace and construction to medicine and even fashion.
Sounds like something straight out of sci-fi. But it's real. And China's making sure they have the experts to lead the way.
They're also putting a lot of resources into intelligent maritime equipment. It's all about developing autonomous ships, underwater drones, and other high-tech stuff for exploring and using the oceans.
Which connects back to their goals with shipbuilding and ocean exploration that we talked about earlier. That they're building this whole ecosystem of innovation from the education system to the industries themselves.
It's a very strategic approach. They're not just investing in individual technologies. They're building connected systems that all work together.
And then there's interdisciplinary engineering, which sounds super interesting. What can you tell us about that?
Interdisciplinary engineering is all about breaking down those traditional walls between different engineering fields.
So instead of just having mechanical engineers or electrical engineers, they're training engineers who can think across disciplines and solve problems in a more holistic way.
Exactly. It's recognizing that the toughest problems usually need solutions that draw on lots of different areas of expertise.
And that seems like the perfect approach for tackling those big global issues like climate change or sustainable development,
Right.
where you need engineers who can think beyond their own little specialties.
Absolutely. And it's a growing trend in education worldwide. More and more universities are realizing how valuable interdisciplinary approaches are for problem solving.
It's like they're getting ready for the future of work, where collaboration and being able to adapt will be more important than ever.
And China wants to be leading the way in that shift.
It's all pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
But I gotta ask, what are the potential downsides to changing the education system so fast and so drastically?
Good question. One worry is that this top-down approach could stifle creativity and innovation. If the curriculum is too rigid, it might limit how much students can think outside the box and explore new ideas.
It's that tension between control and creativity we talked about earlier. Finding the right balance is tricky.
Another challenge is making sure the quality of education stays high as they expand so quickly. Having big plans is one thing. Actually making them work across a country as massive and diverse as China is a whole other thing.
Right. And there's also the issue of equity. Will all students have the same access to these new opportunities, no matter their background or how much money their family has?
That's a crucial question. The article does talk about how important equity and inclusion are, but we'll have to see how they deal with the inequalities that already exist in the Chinese education system.
Definitely something we'll be keeping a close eye on. Okay, so the article also highlights how important international cooperation is in China's education plan. Can you expand on that?
Sure, China's actively trying to attract foreign students and researchers, and they want to work together on international research projects.
Well, they're not just focused on themselves, they're engaging with the global community.
Right, exactly. They know they can learn from other countries' experiences, and that working with international partners can help them progress faster.
And the article mentions those international summer school programs. Those sound like a fantastic chance for students from all over the world to experience China firsthand and connect with their Chinese peers.
Absolutely. Those programs are designed for cultural exchange, building understanding, and creating networks that will benefit both China and their international partners.
It's like they're saying, come learn with us, share your ideas, and let's build the future together.
It's a very collaborative approach.
Yeah.
And it could have really positive effects on scientific and technological progress around the world.
But it also makes you think about competition, right? If China's attracting all this top talent from everywhere, how will that affect the global landscape of research and innovation?
That's one of the most interesting parts of all this. China becoming a major player in education has the potential to completely change the balance of power in science and technology. It'll be fascinating to see how it all unfolds in the next few years.
It's like we're watching a huge shift in global education, and China's becoming a force to be reckoned with.
It's an exciting time to be following these developments, and it just goes to show how important education is. The countries that invest in it smartly, that encourage innovation and collaboration, those are the ones that'll shape the future.
You know, it's actually really inspiring to see a country putting so much emphasis on education. Makes you think, what can we learn from China's approach, even if we don't agree with all their methods?
Yeah, that's a good question to consider. One big takeaway is how bold their vision is. They're not afraid to think big and make huge changes to reach their goals.
It's like they're saying, this is where we want to be, and we're going to do whatever it takes to get there. You can feel their sense of purpose and determination. It's Pretty impressive.
And they're not just talking, they're actually investing heavily. They're putting tons of resources into education at all levels, from early childhood to higher education and vocational training.
It's one thing to say it's important. It's another to actually put your money where your mouth is. They get that education is an investment in their future?
And they're playing the long game here. They're not just focused on quick results. They're thinking about the skills and knowledge people will need 10, 20, even 30 years from now.
That's what's so remarkable. They're not just reacting to the changing world, they're trying to shape it.
Another interesting thing is how much they emphasize connecting education with what industries need. They're making sure graduates have the skills employers are looking for, which helps boost economic growth and innovation.
It's like a talent pipeline, directly linked to the needs of their economy. A very strategic approach.
And they're not afraid to experiment. They're always trying new things, adapting their methods, learning from their mistakes.
That willingness to change and adapt is going to be key for them to succeed. They're not stuck with a rigid plan. They're constantly evolving and improving their approach.
So what does this all mean for you, our deep diving listener? What are the main things to take away from this look at China's education overhaul?
Well, one thing is it reminds us that the world's changing fast and education is more important than ever, whether it's individuals, companies, or whole countries. The ones who prioritize learning and adapting are the ones who will succeed in this new era.
It also shows how important strategic thinking and long-term planning are. China knows where they want to be, and they're taking real steps to get there.
And it really highlights the power of investment. China's putting their money where their mouth is, and it's paying off.
Lastly, it reminds us that we can learn from other countries, even ones with very different systems and values. There are good lessons to be learned from China's approach to education, even if we don't agree with everything they do.
It's about finding the best ideas, no matter where they come from, and making them work for us. So as we wrap up this deep dive, we'll leave you with one final thought to ponder. How can we use these lessons in our own lives, our work, our communities? How can we embrace lifelong learning and make sure we have the knowledge and skills to thrive in this rapidly changing world?
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking questions. The future belongs to those who are curious and can adapt.